I want to bring to order the September 10th, 2019 regularly scheduled board meeting for the Richland 2 Board of Trustees. If I can please have a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chair, I move to recess public session and convene executive session for the purpose of discussion of student appeals and student issue requests to the district's adult education.
Motion's been made by Dr. Caution Parker. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Mackey. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we'll have the vote at this time. Motion passes 7-0. We'll now convene into executive session. I want to reconvene the September 10th, 2019 regularly scheduled meeting of the Richland 2 Board of Trustees, where we just returned from executive session. At this moment, we will have our inspirational moment and Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, I want to introduce the Battalion Chief, Kareem Spain. Battalion Chief Spain comes from our fire department here in the Columbia-Richland area, and I thought with 9/11 being tomorrow and our first responders, certainly appropriate to have representation. So Mr. Spain is also a parent in this district. He has 4 children, husband, and he's been with the fire department for 19 years. So Mr. Spain, if you want to come up to the podium and give us some words. And remember to hit that button. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, say good evening to everybody, to Mr. Davis, Superintendent, Board of Trustees, and to Richland 2 family. Good evening. First, I want to say thank you. Being a resident of Conway, South Carolina, Horry County, my first 2 kids kind of grew up there. But coming to Columbia, Richland County, it's been a very insightful education ride. So I want to say thank you. Thank you. You're doing a very good job. Today, I want to talk to you briefly because they gave me 5 minutes and I love to be obedient. So I need your help. I want to talk to you today about positioning. Positioning. All right. So I need your help. If you would stand to your feet, you're going to help me. Again, this is about position, so it's very critical. I know we have a lot of administrators and teachers here, as well as students. So I want you to take your left hand and put it up maybe about a foot from your face, right? I want to take your right hand, your finger. In the middle, you see what looked like an M, all right? I want you to focus on that, but I want you to position that hand, that finger, to the M. But I want you to hit it hard as you can. Oh, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. All right, so I want you to take that second finger. The second finger is going to go on the outside of the M, but not touching the M, all right? Positioning, all right? Take that, slap that. Good job. All right. The third one is going to cover that M. I want it completely covered, all right? Take the 3 fingers, slap it. All right, good job. The 4th finger, all right? You should have 4 fingers up, all right? That 4th one, I want to make sure it covers your palm. All right, you got that? Might be a tall task for some. All right? But make sure you cover your palm. 1 time. Ah, that was great. All right, so the 5th finger. All right, the 5th finger, I want that M to touch the other M. Y'all good with that?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do it. Let's do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it fast as you can. Y'all are so nice. Oh, the hospitality, I feel it in the room. Wonderful job. It's all about positioning. Positioning make you feel way better. As was stated earlier, I do have kids in this district, and like I said before, I'm very thankful. Being a parent of 4 kids, I have the privilege of learning a lot of stuff through my kids. So what I call learning from my kids is wisdom. So I'm going to give you a story based on position dealing with my son. My son played baseball. So when he was 12 years old, he played first baseman. And it was 2 outs. And like any other proud parent, dad, You say, oh, let's get this out. He's the first baseman, and usually the shortstop get it, throw it to him, and it's over because he got a good glove. So I'm waiting and say, come on, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. And the ball is hit, but this time it's hit straight to my son. And like any other parent, I gasped. And my son, he bent down. As soon as he bent down, the ball went between his legs. I was frustrated, upset. So after the game, I talked to him, and we talked about the good things, but as a dad, we're going to talk about those things that you missed. And I was telling him how he wasn't in position for the ball. He said, no, Dad, but that's where the coach want me to stand. I was in the place he wanted me to be. And then I realized that my son wouldn't get what I was talking about. See, he looked at position as a place versus an expectation, a situation. See, he was in position, but he wasn't positioning himself for the ball. It's not because my son did not know anything and he wasn't taught. See, he was taught to stay on the ball of your feet. He was taught to hold your head up. He was taught to put the glove in front of you and be ready. But because nobody never hit him the ball, he was out of position. And as I talked to him, this wisdom set in. I start saying, hey, I'm talking to my son, but what am I doing? Am I ever in a place where I'm in a position but not positioning myself? Start realizing with my job, I have a title, but am I positioning myself for that ball that might happen come my way? See, I realized that all of us have an obligation. All of us have a position where we should be positioning ourselves to make somebody better. In 9/11, tomorrow will mark 18 years. That we're going to celebrate the lives of people who have positioned themselves to make a difference. And I challenge you tonight, tomorrow, forever, that when you hear the stories of the firemen that ran up 78 stairs, flights of stairs, 78 floors, they didn't do it because they had a title. They did it because they trained, they worked out, and they positioned themselves because one day they believed that that ball was coming their way. It didn't matter how many times they never got hit to, how many times people looked over them. They realized that one day I have to prepare because it's going to make a difference to somebody. Board of Trustees and Richland 2 family, we have an obligation to position ourselves even when we're in position. And unlike my son, we can't just stand waiting for things to happen. But we got to position ourselves to make a difference. So, I leave with you. Are you in a position, but not positioning yourself? That's all I have for you tonight.
Wow. Yeah, if you'll stand there. And I want to introduce our Master Gunnery Sergeant Frederick Gadsden and the color guard from Richland Northeast from the Navy. If we can please have the colors at this time. Everybody stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief Spain, thank you so much for those words of wisdom, and certainly a reminder of the sacrifice that these folks make as family people too. So thank you so much for being with us. All right, we will now move on to our business. If I can have approval of our current agenda. Y'all want to be here all night? Can I please have approval of our current agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I
Ms.
move
Mackey.
approval of our current agenda for September 10th, 2019.
Motion has been made by Ms. Mackey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shad. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about 10.3, as needed for items discussed in executive session.
Yes, ma'am.
Will we be voting on that? Is that something that we normally have on, or should we have that removed?
No, that is, that item is there in the event that we have an item to be voted on, but there's nothing to take action on. So it'll be part of the meeting, but just nothing to take action.
So is that something new we've added this meeting?
It's been, not just this week, it's been there for the last couple of weeks. It gives us the ability that if we have something that is discussed in executive session that needs action, it gives us the ability to do that. We've had legal counsel work with us to determine that that's an appropriate way to handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
I can give an explanation from that. We had a situation several board meetings ago where we had an item in the executive session that regarded needing voting on. It was the item was diploma petition. And we did not have the diploma petition in the voting items for executive session. So we had it in the executive session items to be discussed, but we did not have it on the agenda to be voted on. So we had to wait the following board meeting 2 weeks later to approve that. So we sought legal counsel on that. And by adding items as needed for items discussed in executive session, it allows us to take a vote in a situation like that if we forgot something. We've not used it as of yet, but it's a fail-safe for us should we need to vote on an item such as that one.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other discussion? All right, with no further discussion, we'll take the vote. I did. Maybe you need to refresh.
Mine kicked me out. I had to log back in. Just hit the, yeah. Oh, you got kicked out too.
You want to do a hand vote for us on this one? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next, we'll have our special recognitions. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Libby comes ready to position herself to provide you with special recognitions for the September 10th, 2019 Board of Trustees. Ms. Ruth.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Chairman Manning, board members, cabinet, community members, parents, and students. It is my honor to be positioned to tell you about tonight's special recognitions. And we're going to get started with calling up our students and who are already making an entrance into the world of public service. Would Charisma Burke from Spring Valley High and her principal, Mr. Jeff Timoni, come forward? We also have Trenton Love and Marco Halbrook from Ridgeview High with your principal, Dr. Brenda McFoxworth. As you can see on the screen, these three students were selected to attend Girls State or Boys State this summer. Girls and Boys State are summer leadership and citizenship programs sponsored by the American Legion and the American Legion Auxiliary for high school juniors. Boys and girls are nominated by their high school during their junior year. At Boys State, Trenton, I believe Trenton's in the red shirt right there. Trenton won the election for Superintendent of Education.
All right. Yeah.
And Marco won a state senator election.
All right.
Charisma was selected to attend Girls Nation in Washington, D.C. as one of 2 representatives from South Carolina, and she spent a week learning responsible citizenship and the principles of our nation's founders. Students, congratulations on your accomplishments this summer. If alumni of Boys and Girls State are any indication, and that's people like Michael Jordan, Neil Armstrong, and Jane Pauley, your pathway is headed in the right direction. Congratulations. Wait, just a second, we're going to get a formal group shot if y'all can. Ms. Jones, look. Parents, you're welcome to stand up and take as many pictures as you like. Hold on, we got one more. I like them feeling like they have paparazzi out there for them. Great, congratulations again, thank you. Mr. Timoni, if you'll stay up there. I'm gonna ask Lane Seisloff from Spring Valley to come forward. Ms. Seisloff was named one of 3 finalists for the Presidential Awards for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. You may remember, if you watched or at the last board meeting, we recognized Ridgeview teacher, who was also one of the 3 finalists for this prestigious award. So that's pretty easy math. I can do that. That means Richland 2 has 2 of the 3 finalists for this top award, which is amazing.
That's great.
The Presidential Awards are the highest recognition that a kindergarten through 12th grade mathematics or science teacher may receive for outstanding teaching in the United States. Each applicant must demonstrate a mastery of math or science, including computer science, appropriate use of instructional methods and strategies, lifelong learning, and leadership and education outside the classroom. In the nomination letter, Ms. Seisloff is described as a teacher who embodies what it means to be a 21st century teacher. Her content is always appropriate for her students. She uses effective instructional strategies to promote teaching and learning, and she uses assessments to improve student learning. Ms. Seisloff is reflective in her practice, and this is evidenced by her lesson plans that are often adjusted on the mastery of material by her students. We wish you well as you move into the next round of the competition. Congratulations. You can sit down now, Mr. Timoni, for a moment. Because right now I'm going to bring up Maria Owens from R2I2 Student Innovation Center, along with her director, Kevin Albersi. Ms. Owens was nominated for and won the Microburst Learning Employability Soft Skills Teacher Appreciation Contest. Got that out? Microburst Learning received more than 200 nominations, sharing what makes soft skill teachers so special and the amazing ways they are teaching those students soft skills they'll need in the future. For those of you who may not have heard, but I think it's been around for a while, soft skills are the personality traits and behaviors. They aren't the knowledge that you possess, but rather the behaviors you display in different situations, such as teamwork and adaptability. And we often hear from employers that that's one area where our students need more help. Ms. Owens' nomination rose to the top as students expressed her love of teaching and that she shows she truly cares for her students. Students wrote that Ms. Owens is a great motivator and knows how to excite students about learning soft skills. Thank you, Ms. Owens, for your dedication to your students' success and for shaping the lives of your students. We have 6 magnet programs at 4 schools that we want to recognize. So if you'll come forward, we first will begin with Principal Dr. Katie Barber and lead teacher Molly Robbins from the Montessori Magnet at Pontiac Elementary. Principal Dr. Brenda Mack Foxworth, along with Jennifer McLeod, Magnet lead for the Institute of Biohealth Magnet, and Nicole Walker, Magnet lead for Scholars Academy for Business and Law at Ridgeview High. Principal Jeff Timoni and Dr. Michelle Wyatt, Magnet lead for the Discovery and Exploration Magnet programs at Spring Valley. Principal Dr. Cheryl Guy, and Magnet Lead Ashley Ospelmeyer for the Institute of Research, Engagement, and Design, better known as the iRead Magnet at Westwood High School. These programs are now on an elite list of nationally certified magnet offerings, and Pontiac, Spring Valley, and Westwood were also identified as nationally certified demonstration magnet schools. To become certified, the magnet programs must meet a rigorous magnet school standards of excellence set by the National Institute for Magnet School Leadership. They demonstrate the essential elements of an outstanding magnet school, including innovation, closing the achievement gap, and encouraging parent and community involvement. Magnet programs in Richland 2 were among the first in the nation to earn the national certification. With our newest group, we are now home to 16 nationally certified magnets. That is quite impressive. And at 11 schools, and 7 of which are demonstration magnet schools. We know from the district side the process that you went through to earn this certification. We know it's a lot of work. We recognize that. We thank you, and we appreciate all that you do. Let's congratulate them again. If we can get the principals maybe to kind of, and we'll make 2 rows. And for the groups, other employees that are here, we're going to take a group photograph outside on the stairs when the awards are over, okay?
And we're going to pull this back.
We're going to pull this back. Yes, we are. I'm going to keep going and keep going. I'm going to position it where it's best. Very good. Right. Congratulations. Our last recognition is for Lake Carolina Elementary Lower. Will Principal Dr. Andrea Berry please come forward along with Melissa Kramer and Becky Ann Struthers. Lake Carolina Lower has won a Green Step Superlative Award as the 2019 Conserve School of the Year for South Carolina. Throughout the school, there are signs encouraging an environmentally friendly culture at the school. Lake Carolina Lower's Green Steps program is made up of a nature club and a recycling club, as well as a school-wide effort to make their campus green. Both Nature Club and the Recycling Club consist of children in kindergarten, first, and second grade. Students meet weekly to work on different projects school-wide. On Earth Day, students teach the school about recycling and taking care of the earth. And I love this line. I have to give credit to Shelley because it is one of the best I've read in a while. After all, it is easy to be green when you are a Lake Carolina Gator. Congratulations. That concludes tonight's recognitions. If you'll give me just a moment to let the honorees step out, and we're going to get group photographs. We'll meet those groups on the stairs outside in the lobby.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Usually is. All right, so thank you very much for all the special recognitions. We will now move on to our item number 6, our consent agenda. If I can please have a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Agostini.
I move to approve the consent agenda for September 10th, 2019.
Motion's been made by Ms. Agostini. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shad. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we'll have the vote at this time. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, item 7.1, school focus. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have Spring Valley Principal Jeff Timoni will share the school's Transform SV initiative during this evening's school focus. Mr. Timoni.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
School board chair, school board members, Dr. Davis, members of the executive staff. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about our new initiative called Transform SV. Just to give you a little background, and as I'm giving some background, I asked Ms. Stacy Baker to share a packet with you, but also to give you some Transform SV gear. So just to give you a little bit of background, at Spring Valley High School, we're always looking to improve, really focusing on excellence in academics, student athletics, the arts, and of course, making sure that we're looking at student activities as well. And so several years ago, we had a group of teachers with our professional learning community really wanted to focus on what can we do to improve Spring Valley. And one of those areas that we looked at is related to character building. And so this group worked a couple of years ago, and then last week there was another group that worked together, led by Assistant Principal Ms. Baker, to really see what we can do to improve character building and recognizing character development at our school. And so Transform SV was started. This is our first year that we're kicking it off. Really the goal is to, as I mentioned earlier, to build character and recognize characters being built in our young people. And as you know, some research, of course, that really demonstrates the importance of character building. We all know that character building and character programs improve attendance, improve academic achievement, and also reduce discipline referrals. And as this team was pulling together resources and looking at data and research that was out there, we found a lot of similarities with some of the things that are going on. A lot of similarities with what we're doing with the 4 squares, social emotional learning, Transform SC, and also looking at the profile of the South Carolina graduate. In addition, some of the things that we found when you're looking at character education, it must be embedded in the school day. Not just a program, but more so infused in school activities, becoming a part of the culture at the school, and also, of course, being focused on specific traits for maximum impact. This is just an example of last week's focus. Our focus word for the month of August was empathy. And the focus for this month is integrity. Of course, we know the district's focus is kindness, so we want to be kind as well in September, but definitely demonstrate integrity as well. So this is an example. If you look at this particular page here, you'll see this is a resource that we give our teachers. On the left side, you see the periods of the day, and you have the days of the week. Just some resources that we wanted to develop to help our teachers, because we realized that the value of the character development occurs with the conversation. So you see here we have some poems. We also have some videos. You can see here Wednesday, September 4th, simple scenario. If a cashier hands you more cash than you are entitled to, do you accept it? Why not? These are real life scenarios that we want our students to be thinking about when we talk about character development and making sure they're positioned in the right place to get those jobs that are out there in the future. And also, board members, the packet that you have has a little more detail, a little more examples about what we're doing with Transform SV. One of the things that we did last month, empathy, you know that we have in South Carolina a teacher shortage. And we have teacher mentors who have volunteered or were asked to support and work with our new teachers. And so last month we recognized them showing empathy to other teachers. They're supporting our new teachers, and we wanted to recognize them. And so we gave them the empathy card and also a bracelet. And then on the right side, Ms. Goodwin there, we gave a survey to our students, asked them to, it's a sunshine form, asked them to speak about, write about someone who has brightened their day. And you'd be amazed, and board members, you have some testimonials there, some of the things that our young people shared as far as the teachers and staff members who've impacted them in a positive way. So we wanted to recognize Ms. Goodwin. She's always smiling anyway, but when she got that sunshine basket, she was really, really smiling on that day. Another element of Transform SV that I really love is this idea of when we talk about empathy and we talk about these other character traits, we want to be able to demonstrate and also recognize that. So on the left side, you'll see a card. And so a teacher would simply highlight or check one of those particular character traits, put the student's name there, put their name, and on the back, write exactly what that young person did to exemplify that particular character trait. And then we would put their name in this card in a making good choices box. And then the second piece that we really love is that we would also put that information that the teacher shared on this card and send it home to the parent. So the parent can see that, hey, we recognize and we thank you for sending your child prepared to school each day. Backing up for a second, these are some of our sponsors that we reached out to in the community. We realized that we can't do this alone. And I think when we're looking at some of the resources that we have, we got a lot of folks, if you reach out, sometimes folks reach back. And we've gotten some sponsors here. We're going to recognize them later as we move through the year as well. And also spreading joy. This is a heart attack, a good heart attack. So what we did is those teachers up there, the 4 top names are new teachers to Richland too. And so we completed a form and asked their teachers in the department to share something that they like about them, something that is impressive. And so when these teachers left, and some of them were working pretty late on those on that Thursday, those comments, you can't really tell, but those are comments that their colleagues wrote about them. And so when they came in on that next morning, they got a chance to see that. And it was amazing to see the emails. I feel so welcome. Thank you all so much. It was just very, very positive. And then the image below is, I got heart attack. The student council, they went in my office and put hearts all over the place. And Dr. Davis, I must say, when I walked in, my allergies started acting up. Yeah. Put it like that. My allergies started acting up. But it really touched me. And I kept it up for about 2 weeks, I believe. Right? Keep that thing up there. Might have a bad morning. Keep it up. So anyway, but if you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, you'll get a chance to see the video and the comments. And those are very, very special. And just the calendar that we have, of course, as I mentioned earlier, really focused on the 4 squares. And we have a focus character word each month. Now, of course, empathy, August, we will continue to be empathetic throughout the year, but you see the focus areas, and then we will make sure we're speaking with our young people about these particular character traits and recognizing our students and our teachers as they demonstrate these particular character traits throughout the year. Thank you for your time and support. I will see if you have any questions about what we've been working on.
Board, before we have any questions or comments, I'd like to recognize Councilwoman Tamika Isaac Devine from the City of Columbia. You were well represented earlier with the fire department here. The chief did a fantastic job, Battalion Chief Commander, with his speech. So thank you for being represented in that way as well, for being here with us tonight. So with that, other questions or comments? Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Just a comment. I want to say thank you so much for taking on this task, because it's very difficult in high school. I know we do this in elementary school and level. So thank you so much for taking this on. I think it's so important, and especially when we're talking about the real world. These are just soft skills that companies are saying the students are graduating and they don't have. So thank you for taking that initiative to your faculty and staff. So thank you.
Dr. Holmes.
I'd like to just say, as a former Viking, I am so proud of my alma mater. Go Vikings, yay!
Ms. Agostine, did you have a?
Well, we have another special guest in our audience, too. We have James Agins. He's the president of Spring Valley High School here, so I want to recognize him as well. And then also thank Mr. Timoni and all the teachers that are here and the administrators who've taught, challenged, inspired, and motivated not only my kids, but so many. You do a great job. Thank you.
Ms. Mackey.
Just thank you for your presentation. As we're going through the presentation that you gave us, I'm stuck on the card that says you cannot do a kindness soon enough, for you never know when it will soon be too late, by Emerson. So thank you for the packet, period. That stuck out. Bless you. Heart attacks must be awfully cool. They must be. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Mr. Timoni, as a parent, I hope that's the only way I see your office. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much for y'all's work. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we have item 8.1, public participation. We have no one signed up, so we will move on to item 9.1, legislative update. Dr. Miley, no updates. So we are on to item 10, voting on our executive session items. Item 10.2, if I can have a motion, please.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Mack.
I move that we accept the one student admission request into the district's adult education program.
Motion's been made by Ms. Mackey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Holmes. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we'll have the vote. Motion passes 7-0. There's no need for item 10.3, so we'll move on now to item 11, old business action requested. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you would remember from our last board meeting, we're bringing back before you two policies. Policies IMDC, religious observations display, which after seeking counsel from our attorneys, it is recommended that we agree or move forward to rescind this policy. In addition to the policy revisions or approval for BCB, board member conflict of interest. Again, this policy had some corrections or adjustments made to it and shared with you all at our last board meeting. And so all requested adjustments have been made, and we're asking for your approval we're asking for the approval of policies IMBCB and rescinding policy IMDC. And should you have any questions, I believe Dr. Franklin, Ms. Gregory is ready to assist.
All right, board members, if I can have a motion.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Shad.
I move that we rescind policy IMDC, religious observances display, and we approve BCB, board member conflict of interest, as revised.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Mackey. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we'll have the vote at this time. Motion passes 7-0. Item 12, new business, no action requested. Dr. Davis.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have three policies that we're bringing before you this evening. I think the policies are displayed up on the screen. The first policy is policy EEAE, which is bus safety program. The second policy we'll be discussing with you is KLGA, school resource officers. And the third policy will be policy revision IHBF, medical homebound instruction. District staff stands ready to assist as they review these policies one at a time. We'll start with Mr. Anderson.
Good evening. Policy EEAE is update. You just approved this recently in March, but we got the policy revisions from the South Carolina School Board Association due to a little small change in state law. So you'll see those changes in the red. Basically, the first paragraph about school bus drivers, or that second section, talks about the ability to for a certification. The state now has 3 different certifications that you can get. Certification A is basically a full CDL. Certification B allows you only to drive a activity bus, and certification C is more like a monitor, a bus that doesn't have any arms or stop arms or anything like that. So we feel that we would like to keep our flexibility and have, which we already do anyway, have all of our drivers get certificate A, which gives them the ability to drive any and all vehicles that the district owns. The training time is a couple days difference as opposed to a B or a C. So it's not we've always been doing this, always done a certificate A. The driving record portion in red, which we've always done, but clarifies that 4 points against, if you have 4 points or more, you can't drive for us, and that's per the state law as well. DUI is the other one that's mentioned, and that's also, of course, you'll be terminated. And then the other changes through the policy are basically changing from the district transportation staff to all employees with the South Carolina Department of Ed driver certificates. And that basically is for coaches, teachers, principals, whoever who drives an activity bus or any type of our vehicles, that they'll be subject to these types of alcohol and drug testing, and not just our transportation staff. With that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Board members, questions or comments?
Just a comment, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for providing. I know that the items in red are provided by the South Carolina School Board Association, but there's an awful lot in yellow that you've gone to great pains to make sure that it is abundantly clear, and I just appreciate the extreme clarity of the policy.
Oh, you're welcome. Our transportation staff went over this, and we have a great training program already, and so, thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right, Mr. Anderson, or Dr. Davis, rather.
Next policy is KLGA, School Resource Officers. Mr. Smith.
Good evening. You have
evening.
the policy in front of you. There were some minor changes. We issued this policy in April of this year, April the 19th. But with some changes in the law, we made some changes. The first one there is level 3 violations of which law enforcement involvement is required. We updated that after we received that information from School Board Association. And then the other part is under the Memorandum of Understanding. We also made a change there to update with the changes about at the beginning of each school year, district administration will review the terms of the MOU with and provide a copy both to the building level administrator and the school resource officer. So those are the changes there.
Board members, questions or comments? Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Just a comment. Thank you so much for this policy. And just a suggestion, I know that and this is probably to Dr. Davis, but I know that we have Teacher of the Year and Classified Staff of the Year, but our school resource officers, they protect us. They work extremely hard, and they're building those community with our students. I would love for us to recognize our school resource officers and also have a School Resource Officer of the Year. So I'd love for us to move forward with that, Dr. Davis, and just consider that because they're hardworking and they're a part of the community and the family. Thank you.
Board members, other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have Ms. Katina Davis to share with you information regarding policy revisions, IHBF, medical homebound instruction. Ms. Davis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This policy was brought to you back last month, but we've had to make some changes based on change in law. The first edit is actually an editorial change. We moved a sentence from the end of the policy to the beginning of the policy where it indicates that teachers will maintain records. But the law change included the second area, which is in addition to physicians being able to sign medical homebound applications, it was added that physician assistants and properly authorized advanced practice registered nurses are also able to sign those applications. And as you know, getting access to your medical doctor can be a challenge, so this will help families be able to get the necessary forms in a timely manner.
Board members, questions or comments?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Agostini.
I was wondering if we could change, if you look at to the second to the last paragraph, and it goes in line with what you had just said, when they're renewing, or it must be extended, and it just says signed by the physician, if we could include, do you see where I'm trying?
Yes, ma'am, I see what you're talking about. We can add that.
Yeah, to have the PA and the nurse practitioner included.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, can we have a?
Need to make a motion?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make the motion that we add under the second to the last paragraph on the first page, a new medical, I'll start from the very beginning. Homebound instruction may be approved for a maximum of 45 instructional days at one time. If the homebound period must be extended, a new medical homebound form signed in parentheses, signed by physician, PA, or APRN.
Motion's been made by Ms. Agostini. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Dr. Holmes. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we will have the vote. If I can just make sure that the motion is as you intended. Ms. Agostini, when it comes up. Ms. Agostino, are you good with that? The motion is small. It says to add language PA or APRN.
I can't see up there because it's too far away and this is too small. So, yes, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no discussion, we'll have the vote at this time. And that passes 7-0. Is there any further discussion or comment on policy IHBF? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. We will now move on to item 13.1, our agenda items for the next meeting. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you would take a look at the draft agenda for September 24th, 2019, with the executive session starting at 5:30, call to order. We have student appeals, a student readmission request to adult education program. Should there be any inspirational moment, approval of our agenda, the consent agenda, public participation, one, our legislative update, should we need one, voting on executive session items. We will also have old business, no action requested, an update on our capital improvement that Mr. Anderson shares with us monthly. Old business action requested. We will be asking for your approval of the policies we presented to you this evening. That will be EEAE, Bus Safety Program, KLGA, the School Resource Officers, and IHBF, the Medical Homebound Instruction. We'll be asking you for new business, no action requested. We have policy revisions, GBEB, staff conduct, and we have the report for capital improvement update. A draft agenda for October 15th, approval of the agenda items, public participation 2, should we need it, board and superintendent comments, executive session 2, and voting on executive session items 2 should they be needed.
Board members, questions or comments? All right, we'll move on then to item 14.1, the approval of that draft agenda. If I can please have a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve the draft agenda items for September 24th, 2019.
Thank you. Motion's been made by Ms. Mackey. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Shad. Is there any discussion? No discussion. We'll have the vote. Motion passes 6 yes, 1 no. Next, we have our second public participation. Again, no one has signed up. And so we will move on to our board and superintendent comments. If I can start on my right with Ms. Agostini.
Wow, that was fast. Having all sorts of issues tonight. Can't read close, can't read far. But thank you, Mr. Chair, for your inspirational moment today. Officer Spain, I believe that was his name. I couldn't, whether it was Spain or Spade.
Spain
but,
is right, yeah.
He was terrific, so thank you for bringing him in tonight. And then congratulations to all those who were recognized this evening, and a special thank you to Spring Valley for being here and the impact that you've made personally on my family. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mackey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to continue to offer prayers. We celebrate 9/11 tomorrow and the myriad lives that were lost on that day. And we have every now and then a student or a family member or a parent who loses their life. And we have to, we extend our condolences to those families. We had one recently, a child who was lost in a drowning death. And we extend prayers and support for that family, as well as, and at Ridgeview still continues to celebrate Cuts for Gabby, the young lady who lost her life several years ago. So as we think about 9/11 and the national impact that violence has on our nation, I just want to extend a prayer for the families that are impacted on a regular basis in our district, and the amazing people who surround those people and who wrap them in comfort and love, and just the nurturing process goes on long before that initial loss of life. So as always, bless you to the people who have to be here, the people who choose to be here, and just thank you for your support and working with District 2 and the end user of the products that we deliver, which is students. Bless you.
Thank you. Dr. Holmes?
I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Manning, for another short meeting, first of all. And then second of all, congratulations, Spring Valley. It's good to see you here. As you see, Vikings do all sorts of things. I'm glad to be a Viking. Glad you're here tonight. Lastly, I have started a section on my Facebook page, my personal one and my school board one, as to where are they now. I would really love to highlight your graduate students and your students that have gone on to do other things. I have done so far with, we've had several doctors. One young lady, she opened a dance school. Not only does this let the community know that our students graduate and become all sort of things and do well in the world, but it also brings our community closer. I think part of being a board member is to make sure not just to attend these meetings and pass policies and things like that, but the idea is also so we can highlight everything that this district has to offer. We are a fantastic district. People need to know we produce fantastic children, and we even produce board members. But anyway, I'd like to say, I want you to please submit your pictures and do a little write-up, and you can inbox me, and I'd love, love, love to highlight your students. Please do that. I've done so, and it's working pretty well, and I want to make sure that I continue doing that. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Dr. Caution Parker?
That's what happens when you're loud. You think everybody can hear you. First, I'd like to say congratulations to all the honorees this evening. It's outstanding. Great presentation about Spring Valley High School, Mr. Tony. Thank you very much. And an outstanding inspirational moment, Mr. Manning. That was very nice. That was very good. Great meeting. Very positive.
Yep.
Good meeting.
Thank you. Dr. Elkins Johnson?
Also, for the past 2 years, I have issued a Facebook challenge asking parents to be a part, and Mr. Shad is going, And for 2 years, I have offered this for parents to come to school board meetings and be a part of it. And I've always asked, come to at least 2 school board meetings. We have about 20 plus. Okay. But if I can see your face at least 2 school board meetings, that would be so awesome. And I want to recognize Mrs. Angela Weeks McMichael, who's a parent here. Angela's had 4 still here, and 1 actually graduated from Ridgeview when I was a school administrator there. So I just want to say thank you for taking me up on that offer. It took about 2 years for me to get someone to take me up on this offer. But you know what? Better late than never. Yeah. So thank you for setting the bar high for all the parents, and get out there. I want to take pictures of you and get out there and let them know you came, and you've met 2 meetings. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Shad?
Ditto to what my colleague said. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to keep it short. I always feel like I'm in this position because I have official things that I need to cover, but all right. I'm pleased to report that Richland 2 had a successful bond sale on September the 5th in the amount of $85 million as a part of the November the 6th, 2018 bond referendum. Bonds were awarded to Raymond James and Associates at an interest rate of 2.2%. They were the lowest bidders out of 11 total bids in the public offerings. Having 11 bidders demonstrates the district's good credit rating and the attractiveness of the district bonds issued. Our bond counsel who assisted in the bond issue is here with us tonight. And so we want to take a quick moment to recognize Ms. Franny Heisner with Burr Foreman, and also Ms. Tamika Isaac Devine, partner with Jabber and Isaac. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. I also want to express my deepest appreciation to our parents, our students, and employees for their patience last week as we dealt with the uncertainty of planning around weather conditions. If you hadn't done anything difficult, I would invite you to come and sit in and plan on determining whether or not we're going to close schools. Richland 2 administrators and I thank you for your understanding. Thank you for understanding our decision to err on the side of caution by canceling school on Thursday. I met with district administrators this week to review options for make up the missed days of instruction. Based on the past few years, we know it is probable we will miss additional days in the fall due to other hurricane and weather issues. That being the case, with that in mind, Richland 2 will make up the missed school day on Thursday, October the 17th, 2019, which is designated as a potential makeup day on our 1920 school calendar. The district in-service originally scheduled for the 17th has been moved to Friday, October the 18th, 2019. September is Kindness Month in Richland 2. For everyone who have difficulties thinking of ways to show kindness, there is a calendar full of daily suggestions. Today's suggestion is to give a compliment to someone who does not live in the same house as you. In addition to being kind, September is also Attendance Matters Month, and state law requires that students K through 12 attend a minimum of 170 days of school to receive credit for the academic year. Every school day is an opportunity to learn. And I'll be remiss if I didn't take a moment to just also to ask us, since it is Kindness Month as well, to remember those who are less fortunate than we are and those who have been impacted by Hurricane Dorian. If there's anything that you would like to do, or I ask you to do, is just to keep them in your thoughts and your prayers as they deal with such a difficult issue of transitioning with loss, not of just life, but loss of a quality of life as well. So let's keep them in mind as we remember how fortunate we are as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I do want to thank the Battalion Chief Spain for his comments. I think his comments about positioning and that it's not just the position that you're in, but actually positioning yourself for anything that comes at you. And certainly our firefighters are a prime example, as are our other first responders for that. But also keep in mind, integrity, I think, was the word that you used, Mr. Timoni, for the value of the month. And remember that they also present a lot of integrity in those positions, as do our teachers and our staff. And I just want to thank everybody. I know not everybody can make it to the meetings. A lot of our teachers, they're actually flipping lesson plans right now, trying to figure out how to deal with the change in days and the extra day. So it's a lot of work. That one day shifts a lot of things in their schedules and is very difficult. So I hope that families will recognize it's not just a hardship on you as a parent, it's also a hardship on our staff who have to react to those changes and are very impactful. And, you know, I think it's amazing we are part of a country that is so resilient. And I think 9/11 is just a prime example of that, and something that we should all be proud of. So I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. I think I may have set another new record, or the board, not just me, for a short meeting. And so I hope you'll go home and enjoy the rest of your evening. Y'all, can I have a motion to adjourn? So moved by Ms. Mackey. Do I have a second? Okay. Please, can I have a motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Motion has been made by Dr. Holmes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Agostini. Everybody in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. Y'all have a great evening.